All right, guys, so this video is part 2 of our look at the Echo Soundworks Future Bass Drums library. And in this video, we're going to be looking at how you can use the loops. So if you're just starting out, maybe you're a beginner or intermediate user, or maybe you're a producer, you've been making beats and instrumentals, but you've never done Future Bass, these loops inside the pack are going to really help you out. So we're using a track that I used for the demo, just no drums right now. And we're at 135 beats per minute inside of Logic. And we're going to go to the 135 beats per minute folder. And we're going to mix and match some of these samples here. And you know what I might actually do? Let's see if we can take this up to 150, see what it does. Let's do it at 150. There's more loops to choose from. So we have 5 different kits here in the loop folder. And what we could do is we could literally just be lazy and just be like, oh, I just want to drag one of these in, one of the beat ones that say beat, and then just use that as the whole track's drum groove. But we're going to look at how it would be more beneficial to load in different elements from each of the kits and kind of make your own. Right, so we could do that, but what we're going to do is we want more of a chill one for this intro section. So let's try listening to the beat for kit 2. Okay, that snare is not that big. That might work. Let's listen to 3. One's a little bit bigger. All right, that one's pretty chill. So let's take the kick from that. We're going to drag that in to its own track here. Let's delete the other one. So now we have all right, might be too many hits, but we can change that with some quick editing. And then let's take the snare, which is a snap. Yeah, let's take that and use that for this intro section. Okay, so let's put these tracks above everything else. So okay, let's move this kick over. So I'm just going to slice this up. And that's the huge benefit of having these different loops, is that you can just slice some stuff up. So this one was on more of like a triplet feel, I believe. So let's just cut right here. Okay. And let's make this a little bit shorter. Let's listen to this again. Let's pop that right there. All right, let's just take out that last little hit right there. So this feels better to me. Let's extend it out twice and listen. All right, let's actually take out one of these middle ones. Let's take out this double one here. So cut and swipe, and then maybe crossfade. So what we've done now in effect is we made our own loop, our own groove using this loop. All right, and then let's take out these last 2 here because we might just want like a big snare right there to reverb out. But there we go. It's really that easy using these loops, and it's a great learning tool as well to kind of see where things fit in the track. Let's use one of the hi-hats from one of these. All right, that's pretty chill and relaxed. So we can pop that in to this intro section as well. And for me personally, I'm not a huge user of loops when I'm actually like creating a track, because I just don't want people to have, you know, that very same track that I'm trying to make and release. But what I will do is use loops though to write to and then kind of change and tweak. For instance, for me, it's a lot more musical to write to a actual drum groove. Even if I'm changing it, whether it comes from a loop, I don't really care. But here's an electric piano that's from Serum. So if I have a drum groove, I feel like I can write easier. And that's, I think, a huge benefit of loops is you can actually just get in there and start freestyling. But in this example, what we've done is we've taken 2 loops from 2 different kits, made it our own. The only thing that really stayed the same was the snares, and the hi-hat is such a basic pattern. Right? It's not, it's not reinventing the wheel. So there's that. Alright, so let's take out the hi-hats there as well. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the one-shots folder. And let's find a tonal snare or a big layered snare. And I think tonal would be better, the pitch snares. Alright, let's use that one. And we're going to use this just as a really simple transition. A lot of feature-based tracks don't have really exaggerated transitions, especially in the more chill ones. All right, so let's listen to this. All right, so we can put it there, or we could put it here. If we put it here, it's just gonna, I'll just put on some reverb here. Probably use Valhalla Vintage Verb and call it a day on that. Use a different algorithm, turn the decay, maybe the mix down. Or we could mess around with getting a reversed sound into it. So if we go to the percussion, we go to reverse percussion. Let's try doing that, see how that feels. I did not want to duplicate that. I would like you to duplicate this track, Logic. You grumpy Gus. All right, so this is a really long reverse, but so we would want it to reverse to about right there. That sounds more musical right there. So that's a really common thing that feature bass will do. And I know we're pulling from the actual one-shots, but still making our own groove, primarily with those loops. Now let's go down into this section, and let's actually just listen to this before we just dive into kind of just randomly throwing in loops, because there's certain pockets of space here that I want to keep the same. For instance, well, I'm going to count this as we listen. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3 and so there's a little bit of like a turnaround there, and that's cool because what that'll allow us to do is it'll allow us to get that right. Let me duplicate this out actually. So what that will allow us to do is just knowing kind of where things are. I don't want like a real triplet oriented groove because this isn't feeling super triplet. So let's go into the 150 beats per minute folder and let's try listening to number 2 real quick. Might work. Okay, I think this one will work. So let's just drag this in the whole beat and let's listen. All right, that's kind of cool. Let's turn off the chords real quick. All right, so I think that one will work, but let's actually pull in the individual elements to it so we can make our own mix, maybe chop some things up. So I'm going to pull in everything. Hit create new tracks if you're a Logic user. I'm going to reorder it. It's going to go kick, snare, hi-hats, percussion. So now we have, let's just listen to the kick and see if we want to remove any. Okay, I like where the kicks are. Let's listen to the snare. Okay, now let's listen to the percussion. Okay, so we have the water drop sound right here. But that's happening right where the breath is. And if you guys are wondering what the breath is from, it's from our new contact instrument, Evoxa. If you guys are struggling to find really high quality musical vocal chops, definitely check this out. It's a really cool library. That's where all the vocal chops you hear in this track are coming from. But what we're going to do is we want to pull that water drop. We want to pull it off of that section of the track. So you could do this in two ways. You could mangle and chop up the loop, which is fine. Or you could just go get the water drop from the sample folder, because it's everything you hear in the loops is in the sample folder, the one shot. But we're going to pull it right here and we're going to pop it right there. So it comes in halfway between the end of the breath. Right? So we're going to make this really loud. All right, so that'll be cool. Let's pan it out. So moving that off of the actual track. So let's listen to this real quick. All right, so that sounds really nice. And just by moving that sample off, because that's what you want to have. You want to have a nice call and response with future bass. I don't want that water drop happening on the breath, because this breath is a different Evoxa patch than this. So what I did was I just duplicated the track. I muted this note in this one track here, and that's what the breath is. So I want the water drop sound to be kind of its own space, so I'm panning it out left and right. So let's listen to this. All right, so I want that to be hella loud. So yeah, I still use the word hella. Let's put on the sausage fattener on it, because why not? So I'm gonna just copy and paste the sausage fattener from my master bus on here. And yes, I throw on the sausage fattener on my master bus for anyone who's gonna scold me, but I would take it off before I send it to mastering. But let's try this. Okay, so there's the water drop sound, and I like that how it stands there. So what I'm going to do here is let's chop this up. Let's get these on the back half as well. So let me take this in. This is confusing every time you do surgery like this. So I need that track to be there. So let's take this one here. We'll pop that there. And then that needs to go there. So I need to cut off a few bars of that. Okay, let's Okay, let's actually just pop it right there for now. It's a little bit different than the first, but whatever. So let's copy and paste the track out as we have it now. And let's look at this turnaround section. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to kind of cut this up, because a really cool thing to do in Future Bass is have kind of a new, like maybe a drum fill or just something interesting happen on the turnaround. So I'm just gonna have this kick hit. I've already reversed the audio here of the chord sound, but let's listen to this. right, so maybe let's just put in a different snare there. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's go back now to the beginning half of it. And let's listen to this percussion. Let's turn that. And let's bring in the hi-hats, see how that feels. Okay, so we need a snare on that second half of it somewhere. So let's just copy and paste one of these over. Let's try that. Okay, so that's where the snare needs to be, but let's get a different snare in altogether. So let's go to the one shots, let's go to snares, and let's go to layered future bass snares. And let's pull that one in because that reversed kind of tail, or that not tail, but the reverse start to it might be really cool to kind of suck the listener into this. So we're gonna pop that just one tick mark before. Okay. Let's try that. All right, and then let's get a little bit of Foley in there as well. Actually, let's do a vocal chant. That might be kind of cool. So let's get that in there on its own track, and we'll have this occur in this little pocket of the turnaround. Okay, that might be kind of cool having it be on its own little section. And let's try reversing it just because reversing things is cool. Oh. Oh boy. All right, so let's actually have that happen at the tail end of that bar. All right, let's listen to this. All right, so I wish I could get the reverse in. Let me try shorten it. There it is. If you're wondering how I did that, I hold down Option on my keyboard, go over to where you would normally have the crosshairs to shorten or lengthen it, but while holding down Alt or Option, it allows you to basically pitch and time shift it. All right, and that is screaming for some delay, so we will throw on some stereo delay as well. And I want this to be, let's do a triplet. I really like triplets in future bass. Let's do quarter note triplet. This is all right, so let's listen to our groove real quick. All right, so it sounds pretty cool. I really like that. So definitely with the vocal chants, if you guys buy this pack, definitely check out and reverse things, because reversing these basically gives you 24 different vocals, because that went from a, what was it before? What is this? It went from an A to a yeah. It's kind of cool, but let's look at this real quick. And again, the loops are great learning tools. There is a drum fill here that is coming from a tom, and I think that is a little bit quiet, and we can do better. So let's copy, or let's drag in some tom tracks in here. I'm just going to grab 4 random ones, and I'm just going to try to make my own little drum fill using some one shots from the one shots folder, and kind of mimic what the loop did, but maybe change it up to make it my own for this example, even though I made the original demo. But let's listen to this tom. All right, that one's gonna be too much of a pitch, so let's just delete that one because I don't want to mess with tuning right now. Feeling a little bit lazy with this, but let's listen to this one right here. Let's listen to this one. All right, so let's use this big one right here. And you want to keep them on their own tracks, so then you can like maybe pan them how you want. But let's try this. Let me listen to this, solo this. All right, that might work. Let's bring this one in, see what this one does. All right, let's copy or turn that down. Give it some stereo image. The first one I want out left, second one I want out right, and then the last one more centered. So let's listen to this. Let's solo just the percussion of this. All right, that'll sound better with the track. Let's listen to it. All right, and then this snare, we could use some reverb, but I'm gonna do it on a send. I don't wanna do it on the actual track. We want to be able to blend that signal together in this instance because I want to be able to have the most control over the reverb that I can. So I'm going to pop this on a send. Valhalla Vintage Verb. You don't know what it is, check it out. Amazing plugin. Can't rave about it enough. That's it. So I know I'm turning the mix down. I'm not keeping it at wet 100, but I want a little bit of the dry because I want this to be a louder sound. And let's actually have the fade on this reverse. Let's actually have this happen much sooner. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. Let's check this out. And this was all coming from a loop. If you remember, let's A/B this real quick. Because for any of the guys out there like using loops is definitely cheating. Well, it is and it isn't, because we changed this and made it our own. So we used Kit 5. I'm gonna drag in Kit 5's beat so we can actually check out the whole beat. So here's the beat as it was. And now here is ours. Right, so it's definitely different. It fits our track, which is the most important thing. So let's just listen to this one more time and call it a day on this. And then the next video, we'll be building a groove from scratch. All right, guys, thanks for checking this out. Again, you are watching a demo presentation of our Future Bass drum pack. I'll see you guys in part 3.